Mama, she snapped, folding her arms. Why are you sitting on the white chair again? Didn't I tell you, that's not your type of seat? Mama and Kem looked up slowly, her voice calm. My daughter, I was only watching the children. My legs were hurting. Vanessa laughed coldly. Hurting? Yet you still have energy to move from seat to seat in my husband's house? Mama, learn your boundaries. Hey, Bestie. You know how life in Africa can be, full of drama, love, and unexpected turns. Today's story is one of those that will make you laugh, think, and maybe even tear up a little. So grab your tea, get comfortable. Don't forget to tell us where you are watching from in the comment, and let your bestie tell you a story. In the heart of Abuja's serene Maitama Hills lived Obi Madu, a man the world called the Billionaire with a soft heart. He had everything a man could desire: fame that opened doors, cars that gleamed like mirrors, and money that could move mountains. But beneath the luxury, Obi's greatest treasure was not his wealth. It was his family. After losing his first wife during childbirth, Obi had spent 7 years building his world around his mother, Mom Kem, and his triplet sons, Kamsi, Samto, and Ibube. Their laughter filled every corner of the mansion. And every morning, Mom and Kem's prayers rose softly through the halls, anchoring the home in peace. One sunny afternoon, she watched the boys play in the garden. Their small feet drummed against the tiled floor, their laughter rising like music. Obi stepped out, smiling as he adjusted his cufflinks. Mama, he said warmly, you spoil them too much. Mama and Kem smiled knowingly. Children are not spoiled by love, my son. They are strengthened by it. Obi chuckled. He lived for these simple moments, before meetings, before headlines, before the noise of wealth. To him, this was heaven. But even heaven can hide shadows. The first time he saw Vanessa, it was at a charity gala in Ikoyi. She was stunning, soft-spoken, graceful, every inch the woman who looked like peace. Her laughter was gentle, her eyes kind. Obi thought, God has given me another chance. Months later, they married in a quiet ceremony. Mama and Kem welcomed her with warmth, even though something in her spirit warned her to stay cautious. Vanessa smiled sweetly, called her Mama, but behind that polished charm was a spark she never showed. That evening, as the family gathered for dinner, Vanessa raised a glass of wine. To new beginnings, she said. Obi smiled and clinked his glass with hers. The children giggled, their innocence lighting up the room. But Mama and Kem noticed something. The way Vanessa's eyes shifted when the laughter got too loud, how her smile tightened when Obi turned away. It was small, almost invisible. But sometimes, the biggest storms begin with the quietest winds. The morning sun spilled through the tall glass windows of the Madu mansion, bouncing off the marble floors. Laughter filled the living room as the triplets, Kamsi, Samto, and Ibube, raced around with toy cars. Mom and Kem sat nearby, her clean wrapper tied neatly, her gentle smile glowing like morning light. My children, she called softly, don't jump on the sofa. You'll break something. Yes, Grandma, they chorused, their giggles ringing like bells. The peace didn't last. The sharp click of heels echoed down the hallway. Vanessa. She stepped into the room wearing a fitted, glittering gown that shimmered under the chandelier. Her expression was already tight, like someone swallowing bitterness. Mama, she snapped, folding her arms. Why are you sitting on the white chair again? Didn't I tell you, that's not your type of seat? Mama and Kem looked up slowly, her voice calm. My daughter, I was only watching the children. My legs were hurting. Vanessa laughed coldly. Hurting? Yet you still have energy to move from seat to seat in my husband's house? Mama, learn your boundaries. The room fell silent. The boys froze, eyes darting between them. Kamsi stepped forward timidly. Stepmom, please don't shout at Grandma. Vanessa's eyes cut sharply toward him. Who asked you to talk? Is this how you talk to elders in your father's house? Children with no home training. Samto ran to his grandmother's side. Grandma, let's go upstairs, he whispered. Vanessa barked. Don't move. I'm not done talking. She marched closer, her perfume sharp and suffocating. This is my house now. You all live here because of me. Remember that. Mama and Kem's eyes glistened, but her tone stayed gentle. Nobody is fighting you, Vanessa. We want peace. Then stay in your place, Vanessa hissed. I'm the only madam in this house. For a long moment, there was silence. Even the clock seemed to hold its breath. Then Mama and Kem spoke quietly. When you insult an old woman, remember, one day, you'll be one. Vanessa's smile vanished. Keep your village wisdom to yourself, she spat, turning away. The boys clung to their grandmother's wrapper, their small hearts heavy. Peace had cracked, and through that tiny crack, darkness had begun to slip in. The days that followed were heavy. The Madhu mansion, once alive with laughter, now carried a strange silence. Every step, every whisper, seemed to tiptoe around Vanessa's temper. Whenever Obi traveled for business, Vanessa ruled the house like a storm in heels. Her voice echoed through the marble halls, sharp and cruel. One humid afternoon, Mama and Kem sat quietly in the living room, folding the boys' clothes. The triplets played on the carpet, trying their best to stay quiet. Suddenly, the rhythm of Vanessa's footsteps approached, sharp, deliberate. She appeared in the doorway, holding a cup of coffee and an expression that could cut glass. Mama, she said coldly, didn't I tell you not to touch anything in this living room? Mama and Kem looked up, her hands still. I was only tidying up after the children. Tidying? Vanessa scoffed. You're acting like a maid. The triplets froze. Little Abub tugged at his grandmother's wrapper. Grandma, don't cry, he whispered, but his small voice only made Vanessa's glare sharper. Who told you to talk? She snapped. Children these days have no manners. Vanessa, Mama said gently, they are only children. And you're only a guest, Vanessa shot back. Don't forget that. For the first time, Mama's lips trembled, but she said nothing. From the stairs, Ada, the young maid, watched quietly, her heart pounding. Every day since Obi left, she had seen this woman's cruelty grow bolder. The staff whispered among themselves, but no one dared speak. Vanessa had threatened to fire anyone who carried gossip. That evening, when the house went still, Ada knocked softly on Mama's door. Mama, she said, eyes wet. This isn't right. She's treating you like a servant. If only Oga knew. Mama placed a trembling hand on her shoulder. Don't speak, my daughter. She will throw you out. I can endure. Ada shook her head. God is watching. But sometimes even God needs a witness. In the dim candlelight, Mama and Kem closed her eyes. Her faith was strong, but her knees were weak. Outside, thunder rolled softly over Maitama, a warning of a storm yet to come. Hundreds of kilometers away, in a high-rise hotel overlooking Victoria Island, Obi Madhu sat by the window, staring into the night. The glow of Lagos stretched endlessly, but peace would not sit in his chest. His meeting files lay open, unread. His thoughts were far away, back in Maitama, back with his mother and sons. He picked up his phone and stared at a picture on the screen. Mama and Kem in the garden, laughing with the triplets, sunlight dancing on their faces. That photo had always calmed him, but tonight, it only made his heart ache. His assistant, Michael, walked in, carrying a tablet. Sir, your investors' dinner is confirmed for tomorrow evening. Should I? Obi interrupted softly. Cancel it. Michael blinked. Sir? Obi turned toward the window, his reflection somber. My spirit is not at rest. I'm going home. But, sir. Michael, Obi said firmly. Money can wait. Family cannot. Michael hesitated, then nodded. Yes, sir. I'll prepare your jet. When dawn broke, the Lagos skyline shimmered with gold as Obi stepped into his private car. The driver, Mr. Okoye, smiled in surprise when he saw him. Oga, you're coming home early? Thank God. Oh. Obi smiled faintly. Let's keep it a surprise. Don't tell anyone I'm returning, not even the staff. Yes, sir. Okoye said quickly, eyes wide with understanding. As the jet took off, Obi leaned back, watching the clouds drift past. His mind replayed the last phone call he'd had with Vanessa, her voice soft, her words carefully sweet. "Baby, don't stress yourself," she had said. "Everything at home is perfect." Perfect. That word now made his chest tighten. Hours later, as the jet descended into Abuja, the orange sunset brushed the city like fire. Obi looked out the window and whispered, "Lord, I hope I'm wrong." But deep inside, he knew he wasn't. Sometimes, the heart senses storms long before the sky darkens. By the time Obi Madu's jet touched down at Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, dusk had painted Abuja in hues of gold and purple. The air smelled of rain. He didn't call home. He wanted to see things as they truly were. The black Rolls-Royce rolled through the quiet streets of Maitama, its headlights slicing through the mist. "Did anyone know I was returning?" Obi asked, his tone calm but tense. "No, sir," Mr. Okoye replied. "Just me, as you said." "Good. Drive in quietly. No horn." As the mansion gates creaked open, Obi noticed something strange. The front yard was untidy. Toys scattered, leaves piled near the gate, a flower pot broken. Mama never let things stay that way. His chest tightened. From the back garden came the sound of laughter. Loud, mocking, not the sweet giggle of children. Obi's pulse quickened. "Who's laughing?" he whispered. Okoye slowed the car. "It sounds like Madam, sir." Obi's jaw hardened. "Stay here." He stepped out quietly, the gravel crunching beneath his shoes. Moving through the garden path, he followed the laughter until voices became clearer. "I told you people to clean this place, but you're slower than snails." Vanessa's voice lashed out. "If I see one more stain, I'll use this bucket on all of you." Obi stopped cold behind a pillar. There she was, standing with a bucket of dirty water, her phone pressed to her ear as she laughed with someone. "My dear, this old woman thinks she owns this house. Watch what I'll do now," she said cruelly. Before Obi could breathe, Vanessa tilted the bucket. The filthy water splashed over Mom and Kem and the triplets. The boys screamed, clutching their grandmother. Obi's world froze. His heartbeat thundered. "Record this," he whispered to Mr. Okoye, who had quietly followed. The driver lifted his phone, hands trembling. Vanessa threw the empty bucket aside. "Now, maybe you'll learn respect." Then, Obi's voice cut through the air like lightning. "That's enough." The laughter stopped. Vanessa spun around, her face draining of color. The boys gasped. "Didadi," Samto stammered. Obi stepped forward, eyes burning, voice low but sharp. "Continue. Don't stop because of me." The house fell silent. The storm had finally come home. For a heartbeat, no one moved. The only sound was water dripping from Mama's and Kem's soaked wrapper onto the marble tiles. Vanessa stood frozen, her painted smile gone, the bucket still trembling in her hands. "Obi," she whispered. I didn't know you were back." Obi's voice was low, controlled. "You were doing something. Don't stop because of me." "Baby, it's not what you think." "Don't call me that," he said sharply. He bent down and lifted Abub, whose tiny face was streaked with tears and dirt. "Are you hurt, my boy?" The child shook his head, clutching his father's collar. Obi turned slowly toward Vanessa. "You poured dirty water on my mother and my children." "Why?" "They disrespected me," she blurted. "They don't listen." I lost my temper. He stared at her, eyes dark with disbelief. "Respect? You think fear is respect? You think humiliating an old woman earns you power?" "Please, Obi, I didn't mean to." He cut her off. "I watched everything." Her breath caught. What? "I saw it all. Every second. My driver recorded it." Vanessa's hand dropped. "You recorded me?" "Yes." "So you can't twist this into another lie." The triplets huddled behind their grandmother, trembling. Mom and Kem reached for her son's hand. "My son, don't dirty your heart. Leave it to God." Obi's voice softened, but the pain in it ran deep. "No, Mama. This isn't anger. This is truth." He looked at Vanessa again, the woman he once thought was peace. "You've shown me who you really are. You wanted to be madam of this house? Then clean your mess like one. Vanessa blinked in shock. You're asking me to? Wash it. Every drop of it. Then pack your things. Her lips trembled. You're sending me away? Obi didn't answer. He turned to Mr. Okoye. Take Mama inside. Give her clean clothes. Feed the children. Now. Vanessa fell to her knees. Obi, please. Don't do this. I was angry. You weren't angry. You were cruel. He turned his back to her as the driver led his mother away. And for the first time, Vanessa saw the truth in his silence. She hadn't just lost her temper. She had lost her home. Night settled over the Madu mansion like a heavy curtain. The rain outside tapped gently against the windows, washing away the filth of the day, but not the memory. Inside, every worker moved in silence. The house that once echoed with laughter now whispered only fear. In her room, Vanessa sat on the floor, her makeup streaked, her hands shaking. The sound of her own breathing was loud in her ears. Downstairs, Obi stood at his study window, staring into the dark garden where everything had happened. His reflection in the glass looked like a stranger. When dawn came, the air felt different, tense but quiet, like a courtroom before judgment. By evening, Obi gave an unexpected instruction. Tell everyone to gather for dinner. The staff, too. The long dining table gleamed under the chandelier that night. Candles flickered, their light trembling across faces. Mom and Kem sat at one end with the triplets beside her, clean and quiet. Vanessa sat opposite, her eyes red, her smile nervous. The staff lined the walls, uneasy. Obi sat at the head of the table. He stirred his soup once, then spoke. Eat. Nobody moved. Vanessa forced a small laugh. Darling, the food looks wonderful. Obi's eyes stayed fixed on her. Does it? Yes. I asked the cook to make your favorite. He nodded slowly. You've always been good at pretending. Her face stiffened. Obi, please. He raised a hand. The room fell silent. You told me once this was your house, right? I didn't mean. Were you joking when you poured water on my mother? He asked quietly. She froze, tears forming. Please, not in front of them. This is the perfect time, Obi said calmly. Everyone deserves to know who they truly serve. He looked toward Mr. Okoye, who stepped forward and switched on the projector. Vanessa's laughter filled the room. Let's see how Queen Mother looks with a small bath. Followed by the splash, the screams, the silence. Gasps rippled through the room. The staff covered their mouths. Mama and Kem bowed her head. Turn it off. Vanessa cried. Please. Obi didn't move. Look at yourself, he said softly. That's who you became. The video ended. Only the sound of quiet sobbing remained. The mask had finally fallen. The next morning, Maitama woke to calm skies, but inside the Madu mansion, the air still trembled with what had happened. Vanessa was gone, her luggage sent out quietly before dawn. Her perfume still lingered faintly in the corridors, like a ghost that refused to leave. In the sitting room, Mama and Kem sat on the sofa, wrapped in a shawl. The triplets played softly at her feet, stacking blocks in silence. Obi stood by the window, his gaze distant. Mama, he said quietly, I couldn't sleep. You're human, my son, she replied gently. Betrayal never lets sleep come easy. He sighed, running a hand over his face. I keep thinking, how did I not see it? I brought her into this house. I trusted her. Mama smiled sadly. Even the strongest eyes can't see the heart. But God opens truth at the right time. Obi nodded, still heavy with guilt. I didn't want the children to see that ugliness. They'll remember it. Maybe, Mama said softly, but they'll also remember your strength. You didn't shout or hit. You stood firm. That's how boys learn to be men. Their quiet was interrupted by Mr. Okoye entering, holding a brown envelope. Sir, this was found near the gate. It has Madame Vanessa's name on it. Obi frowned and took it. Inside were printed screenshots, messages, and bank details. His brow furrowed. What is this? Mama looked up. What does it say? Obi's voice hardened as he read aloud. Make the old woman uncomfortable. Once she leaves, he'll be too distracted to focus on the port deal. You'll get your payment once he signs. He stared at the page, disbelief turning into quiet anger. She was working with someone. Mama gasped. Dear Lord. Obi's fingers tightened around the papers. Chief Maduk, he's been fighting for that contract. So this was his plan? He exhaled slowly, setting the papers down. No more hiding. No more weakness. He turned to Okoye. Keep this safe. If they move again, we'll be ready. Mama reached for his hand. Now you understand, my son. Sometimes evil needs to be exposed before peace can be rebuilt. Outside, the wind stirred the trees gently. The storm had passed, but it had left roots of truth behind. By the next morning, the whispers had already begun to swirl around Abuja's business circles. Something about the Madu family, a scandal, a betrayal. But inside the mansion, Obi Madu sat calmly in his study, the brown envelope open before him, and a quiet fire in his eyes. A knock came at the door. Mr. Okoye stepped in. Sir, there's a journalist here. He says it's important. Send him in, Obi said. A young man entered. Neat suit, serious face. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Colonel Aide, investigative journalist with Capital Lens. I came to you first because what I discovered concerns your company and your former wife. Obi motioned for him to continue. Colonel opened his laptop, revealing folders of emails, transfers, and documents. Vanessa was receiving monthly payments from Damara Capital, owned by Chief Maduk. It appears she was asked to cause unrest in your home, to distract you while a rival firm secured your port expansion contract. Obi leaned back slowly. And you have proof? Yes, sir. Colonel slid a flash drive across the desk. Everything's here. Messages, bank records, even voice notes. It's a full setup. For a long moment, Obi said nothing. The silence stretched, heavy with revelation. Then he smiled faintly, but it was a smile of pain, not victory. You know, he said quietly, I thought she was just selfish. I didn't know she was a weapon. Colonel nodded respectfully. I plan to publish this, sir. But I wanted to hear your side first. Obi stood and looked out the window. The garden outside shimmered in late afternoon light, the same place where truth had been exposed. Publish it, he said softly. But tell them this. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's clarity. I forgave her last night, but I won't stay blind. Colonel watched him with admiration. You're a good man, sir. Most people would want revenge. Obi turned back with a calm smile. Revenge is loud. Justice is quiet and permanent. As the journalist left, Mamath and Kem entered with the triplets. Is it over, my son? Obi exhaled deeply.
No, Mama.
But the truth has done its work. The wound is closing. She smiled softly. Then peace can finally come. 3 days after the revelations, the Madu mansion felt reborn. The air was lighter, laughter returned, and the walls that once echoed with fear now hummed with peace. Outside, the triplets chased each other across the green lawn while Mama and Kem hummed her favorite hymn from the kitchen. In his study, Obi Madu sat quietly, staring at a photo of his late wife. The pain had softened now, replaced by gratitude. He whispered, You were right. True love builds, never destroys. A gentle knock came. Mama entered carrying a tray. You've been working since morning, she said warmly. Obi smiled. Not working, Mama, planning. I'm starting a foundation for widows and children who've suffered from cruelty. I'll name it after you. Mama froze. After me? Yes, he said softly. The Mama Kem Foundation. This house saw pain, but it will now give hope. Tears filled her eyes. My son, you've turned your scars into seeds. Just then, the triplets burst in, laughter spilling into the room. Daddy, Grandma beat us in football again. Chisholm cried, panting. Obi laughed for the first time in weeks, gathering them in his arms. That means Grandma's the real champion. Later that evening, the family arrived at a cream and gold building in Maitama. A crowd waited outside, friends, staff, and community leaders. The sign above the gate read, "The Mama and Kem Foundation." Cameras flashed as Obi and Mama cut the ribbon together. Inside, bright classrooms lined the hallways. Children's drawings filled the walls. It wasn't just a foundation, it was a promise that no one under that roof would ever feel small again. Mama's eyes glistened as she whispered, "You've given pain a new name, purpose." Obi smiled softly. "And you gave me the strength to build again." That night, back at the mansion, he stood on the balcony. The moonlight washed the compound in silver. Behind him, he could hear the soft snores of his children and Mama's quiet prayers. He whispered to the night, "Thank you, God, for the storm that revealed the truth, for the scars that became strength, and for the love that stayed." For the first time in a long while, his heart felt truly light. The storm had passed, and peace finally called the Madhu house home. Wow, Bestie, that one touched deep, didn't it? Life really has a funny way of teaching us lessons through people we least expect. If you felt the story like I did, drop a heart in the comments. Make sure you subscribe and join me again for our next gist, because you know your bestie never runs out of stories.